picture this. You're in the back seat of the family car, head slumped against the window, and eyes gazing out as the scenery flies past you. The urge to ask, "Are we there yet?" lingers. But do you remember what you were listening to? For me, that's the part that rings clearest in my memory. It was definitely some sort of Chinese music and incredibly uncool. But now I look back on those times with a sort of nostalgia, these rose-tinted glasses, with a heightened appreciation for both the road trip and the soundtrack that accompanied it. Alright, so I was going to start this segment by just talking about the songs in my room, but I thought that would be kind of boring, so without further ado, let's go for a drive! Wait, is that Jen? Hold up. Yo, Jen, what's up?
Oh my god, it's so funny to see you here.
No way! This wasn't planned or anything, right? That's crazy!
Oh my god, hi, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. So for the uninitiated, this is Jen. You might know her as @HoboLingling on TikTok, but because I don't use TikTok, so I just know her as someone who is like, you know, willing to do this.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here, carpool karaoke.
Cringeworthiness aside, basically we are going to be listening to some old Chinese songs, like stuff that we listened to when we're kids, in the car, pass on our impressions. Why is there a guy
There's so many like half-naked men outside.
I'm so confused. Anyway, so the first song that we're going to talk about is 一剪梅 by Fei Yuqing, and this song actually gained cult meme status, as Jen will talk about now.
It was really popular on TikTok because there was this minority tribe member, formerly known as Eggman by Meme Society in the US, and he was singing this song, 一剪梅, this part.
雪花飘飘，北风萧萧.
It became really popular on Chinese social media, and then it became really popular on TikTok as well. So a lot of American-born Chinese kids that were on social media, such as V, started to make fun of this by asking our parents, who used to play this song very unironically, to sing it for us. And that was one of my most popular videos. It blew up. It got like over 500,000 views on TikTok, so you can insert it right here.
All right, some shameless self-promotion time right here, right now.
Dad, say this.
Drink hot water will kill coronavirus. Why you not doctor? Ayya. Don't eat fried food. 雪花飘飘，北风萧萧.
Alright, so I hope you all enjoyed that little segment. Definitely left me a little bit confused, but without further ado, let's actually listen to the song. I gotta say, the intro definitely does hit different. It's just like very, you know, serene. So I think there's this like string-led instrumentation, which leads to that sort of traditional feeling. But his voice is at a higher register. So I think that's definitely something that I don't necessarily expect, like a male voice in this register. And not only that, but Fei Yuqing is a really interesting performer. So besides listening to his music in the car, my parents and I actually went to his concert like 2 years ago, and I was probably the youngest at the time. I definitely wasn't expecting that night, but it was an experience, it was a time. Alright, so this is the second song that we'll be talking about today, and that's 童话 by Michael Wong. Now, he's a Malaysian singer who gained a lot of popularity in Taiwan. This song is super popular, especially with the Asian diaspora and American-born Chinese when we're singing at karaoke. That allows us to really bond together over the music. Yeah, without further ado, I think it's time to start it.
Yeah, like the structure of each song is like the same. 我愿变成童话里 Throughout the song, they all have like a verse and then like a pre-chorus and a chorus, and then they have another verse and then the same pre-chorus and a chorus, and then they have a bridge.
张开双手，牵着翅膀守护你。
Western music really deviates from that a lot of the times, with the exception of artists like Taylor Swift, who always has that same format. But if you compare it to like different genres such as rap or like R&B, they don't always follow that same traditional song structure.
你要相信，相信我们会像童话故事里。I love that the songs I listen to now are exploring new artistic depths, but part of why we can be so nostalgic about these older Chinese songs is because they have that very particular structure to them, and it's sort of like we know what's coming.
Also because we listened to these songs when we were really little, and I think that plays into it.
幸福的爱了世界去。
永远听不见，永远听不见。
Alright, so now I'm seated in front of my computer and we have my aunt on the line. Today she'll be talking about her experiences and perspectives surrounding both the mode of listening and the type of music that we've been discussing.
Well, I have to go with when I was a young child. Of course, I mean, you can tune into a radio for music, but you won't be getting a choice of what's been played. A little bit later, when I became a young teen, CDs have become like a more high-tech way of listening to music. Can you imagine that?
I know, it's crazy. Like, we're living in an era where CDs have been completely deprecated, yet back then it was considered the cutting edge of innovation.
Oh yeah, so high-tech as oh, I'm listening to CD. But I'm still listening to cassette. It's just like, oh no, I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Another thing I want to talk about, the funky thing came out, so I was just graduating in my senior year, called MP3. It was so cool that, you know, you can put 5 albums in this one little tiny stick. Until streaming came along. It's true. Streaming is a lot easier and convenient. Yeah, with internet, you can do it anytime. But I still feel that, you know, music is somehow becoming more disposable. I still have lots of cassettes your mom gave me as gifts from a long time ago. When I want to listen to them, I pick up the album, I just, you know, a rush of memories, and it was just nice. Streaming loses this physical essence.
But even though we still have all of these physical media, a lot of the times that we're going to be listening to these music is over something like Spotify or Apple Music nowadays. So that has shifted. The love for the music hasn't.
Well, I would mix the physical form of music, but without a doubt, I would just jump into streaming. Would you not?
Despite having tons of cassettes, I could totally agree with that.
It's hard to skip songs on cassette, meaning that I pretty much had the entire album imprinted in my head because we were repeatedly listening to it. So when I was a little bit older, I learned to tune the music out like all teenagers would do, because I just know that what's the next song's coming up. It was one of my favorites. I'll be quite happy, you know, tune out until that song came up.
Yeah, so I totally got what you meant there. You could gain a really close attachment to the album and the music within, even if you didn't really care about it. And I think that's a catalyst for the nostalgia I'm experiencing now, that sort of mode of listening and also those particular pieces that defined it.
So I remember listening to music that my older sisters and brother were listening to. A lot of albums of Alan Tam. And then a little later came Jackie Chung and Andy Lau. I love and still love upbeat songs from those artists. But Teresa Tan wasn't really my cup of tea. It's just far too slow and too mellow. Sadly, I don't listen to those songs anymore. I mean, especially not since I moved to Scotland. It's just simply because of change of lifestyle. Despite that, I was able to, you know, pick up the really faint background music that plays in the restaurant. So, yeah.
I think that's also a very astute observation. Sometimes I go to supermarkets with my mom in Queens, New York. They'll often be playing a lot of older Chinese music. It's like, whoa, you feel all those nostalgic memories coming back to you. It's a small thing, but it has a big impact. Okay, so I guess that about sums up our interview for today. Thank you so much for my aunt, my Ai, for coming on to this video. Next up, we're gonna be back in the car for some more extended listening, so stay tuned for that. Alright, so now we're back in the car, and this time it's my mom who's at the wheel, just like the old days. The first song that we're listening to today is Shanghai Tan by Francis Yip.
Even after 30 years, when I listen to Shanghai Tan, it definitely brings back a lot of sweet childhood memories. I still remember when I was a kid, every night between 7 and 8 p.m., everyone in the family would hold a bowl of rice sitting in front of the TV, watching this TV drama from Hong Kong, even though we didn't understand at all what they were talking about because there was no subtitle. It inspired me to want to learn Cantonese and listen to Cantonese songs.
For me, however, I guess the story isn't as touching. What it reminds me of is this barber I used to go to as a kid, who set that as his ringtone every haircut, I tell you. All of a sudden, you would hear Lo Hong Ban, which is like the first two lyrics of this song. This demonstrates, in my opinion, how strong of a mark it left on Chinese pop culture. So, let's give it a listen. So right there is the Lo Hong Ban lyric that I just talked about. Also, in the introduction, you could hear a very interesting fusion between both Western and Chinese instrumentation. You can also hear in singer Francis Yip's voice this sort of more old-fashioned Chinese accent, which really rounds out the individual vocals. So the next piece that we'll be listening to is 一只小雨伞, also known as a small umbrella, by Taiwanese performer Hong Rong-hong.
Actually, I refused to listen to Taiwanese songs in the 80s because I thought it was so old-fashioned and also meant for old people. So listening to Cantonese songs were more trendy.
Now we're going to listen to 一只小雨伞.
Actually, I think it's soothing. The music is so pleasing. Is it because I'm getting old that I start to enjoy the song?
No, don't say that. I know the last thing you would want is to grow older. Maybe it's just that renaissance of the song. It's so catchy, especially the part where they go. It just feels so familiar, so comforting, so relaxing. It's like food for the soul. With that out of the way, now we've come to a stop, and I thought it'd be interesting to discuss with my mom about some of the perspectives she had.
I'm a music lover, even though I don't sing well. I love listening to music. I still remember when I was a kid, I begged my dad to buy me a mini campo, which is a boombox with 2 loudspeakers, so I can play music all day long at home. And when I went out, I would bring my Walkman. One time I went to my aunt's house. I thought I was so fashionable, but ended up she asked me if I was wearing a hearing aid. So that's hilarious. So I basically lost about 10 years of music listening as it was so difficult and so expensive to buy Chinese song CDs in the US. After I moved to New York City in the 2000s, I found a wide range of Chinese CDs at a much cheaper price. And of course, with the internet now, finding a Chinese song is effortless.
That was a super interesting perspective, and I thought the story about the Walkman was super funny. Honestly, if the same thing were to happen today, it would probably be the other way around. It's really interesting how all these advancements in technology have completely changed how we regard the listening experience. With that, I believe we're done. So I hope you all got to learn something new and enjoy some great songs today. And of course, if you have any lingering questions or comments, please drop them below. As always, I can't wait to see you guys in the next video, so don't forget to subscribe. Bye! You can also, oh my god! What?
Good.
Was good. Yeah, you just, okay, we all freaked out about absolutely nothing. Okay, cut.